Hello and welcome to the latest Greater Birmingham Chambers of Commerce Q&A. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Johnny Ojeil, who leads Arup's transport planning business here in the West Midlands. Johnny, good to see you.
Hi, Paul. Thank you very much for the invite. I'm delighted to be here to present today. Thank you.
No, our pleasure. So Johnny, Arup's one of those wonderful businesses which is so multi-dimensional and involved in all sorts of things. How are things at present, and how's the whole sort of coronavirus situation impacting the business in general, and certainly your elements here in the West Midlands?
Thank you. In particular, we, like everybody, had to adapt to home working.
Yeah.
But thankfully, because of the systems and technology and the backup we have, we've managed to transition in a fairly seamless way, which was good for everybody. But nevertheless, we have some challenges maintaining support to our staff, people that are on their own, living on their own, just making sure that their well-being is okay. Yeah. So different challenges. And on the business front, it's good to see, particularly in the West Midlands, that everybody is well connected. And one would argue on the plus side that there's not a lot of travel happening and lost time, and we're probably more productive by being able to spend more time talking and working with each other.
Yeah, no, we're hearing that a lot actually, yeah, from different businesses and across all sorts of sectors. So one thing that we were going to focus on today is a really brilliant tool that Arup have developed in-house, I believe, that you called Mass Motion, and how that can be applied to help businesses, certainly as we're sort of planning for the current sort of situation of operating effectively and safely while the coronavirus is still sort of prevalent. Can you tell us a bit of an outline on Mass Motion? What is it, and how can it be applied?
Mass Motion is a tool that we've had for quite a while in the transport planning industry, and it's a way of measuring pedestrian activity and densities of pedestrians compared to a similar manner that you can model traffic. And probably a lot of our audience is familiar with traffic modeling and determining levels of congestion for cars and lorries and vans, etc. But there is a similar tool available that you can do exactly the same for pedestrians. So this tool has been around for quite a while within Arup, and we've applied it for quite a range of projects, including HS2 projects in the region. So we can develop and help. A very simple example is when you walk into a shopping mall or a station.
Yeah.
You probably don't sit back and think, well, how many escalators do I need? Why is the forecourt 3 meters? Why are these alleyways 2 meters wide? The truth is they're not there by chance. They're planned by somebody. Yeah. And therefore all these corridors and widths and interactions for pedestrians are thought, and Mass Motion delivers that kind of philosophy and micro-simulates it, and is able for you to see it on a computer how pedestrians might interact, which in turn allows designers such as architects, for example, to design shopping malls. Things like I said, the forecourt and the area beyond, say all the shops. How wide should that be?
So if you're a business who's about to reopen, and people are using a lot of good endeavour to try to stick to the guidance such as it is, and trying to judge where they need to be and how people are going to move around their premises safely, be it a retailer or hospitality sector. So you could apply Mass Motion. I guess you can change the volume of footfall, as it were, and then sort of see how people are really going to interact within the premise, which will help those businesses to actually sort of plan where things need to be, how much space they really need to apply, if there's pinch points and the like, which could need addressing in different ways. Is it that applicable, Johnny?
Yes, and if I can just step back a little bit and dissect the answer into a few key components. Yeah. First of all, we have a health and well-being and safety angle that we all as human beings, as employees, need to have and adhere to, and indeed there's government regulations. So from a health and safety point of view, we owe it to our staff, our members, our colleagues, to ensure that we have actually thought it carefully and not just come on the ground and stuck tape and said this is the 2 meter rule and all is okay, and then my liabilities are gone. You really need to demonstrate that you've come up with the most effective solution.
Yeah.
And being able to actually look at it on a computer and play about with it, one would argue that that could give you a range of solutions, and you're able to make a decision to suit the safety and well-being of your staff and your operations. So that can be applied to any office, to any station, to any forecourt. And also, it really is quite important, because another question one would ask is, where does the liability start and end?
Mm.
Therefore, you know, when you enter your car park, is that your private area? Therefore, you're liable. What if you're in the middle of town and you're queuing to get into a shop? So who's responsible there?
Yeah.
Is it the local authority, or is it the owner of the store?
Yeah.
So again, things like Mass Motion are able to integrate more than one user and help them make that decision. And Mass Motion, in simple terms, has levels of service between A and F, and that depends on the density of how close people are to each other. A is very, very comfortable, and F is almost not bearable. Well, it's not bearable, and it's not good, and you don't want it. And it's similar to levels of congestion on a motorway, say, where A is it's running really, really, really free flow, and F, you've got severe congestion. So if you think of it in those terms. And then what we did was we thought, well, okay, that's good, but can we introduce some distancing in our model? And indeed, we went away and did come up with the 2 meter rule. But I must say that that can be applied to a 1 meter rule, 1.5 meter rules, 1.8 meter. It can be adjusted accordingly. Therefore, the tool is very, very flexible. And in simple terms, what it does do, and I'll give you an office example, which we applied it to our own office in Nottingham, and we applied it to an architect's office in Nottingham and Birmingham for Arup, and we applied it to an architect's office in Nottingham also. We made some decisions about distancing in relation to your seating plan. So based on your seating plan, we know how many people can be accommodated within the 2 meter rule. And then we arrived at a rate of arrival of people in and out of the office. And we were then able to apply Mass Motion. And in a diagrammatical format, what that did was you could see on the screen people in 2 colors. One was blue and one was red.
Yeah.
Where it was blue, it meant that the 2 meter social distancing was maintained and it was safe. Where it was red, it meant that people were not adhering to the 2 meter rule. And therefore you could then intervene and introduce measures. What are those measures? Those could be a one-way system. It could be a reduction in people, which might mean shift working, more working from home. So it informs you. And it really allows you to identify pinch points and where the dangerous areas are. Because if you had an office well laid out, but you've got a few areas where people will mix and, God forbid, might be able to infect each other with COVID, then that's a really weak point and you haven't really done anything.
So you can apply it sort of like with this is what the starting point and how we're trying to do it. You run the model, as you say, you see that there's certain areas, the people go red, you know it's not effective, you make the adjustments, you could run it again, I assume, and then everyone's blue, and you know that, okay, we're now adhering to the guidance and can open and with confidence, and I guess share that with staff, share it with customers if you needed to.
Correct, because that's a very important point you did. We will be using the tool to actually show a video to our staff to give them confidence before they return to the office that the leadership have thought about it and there is a plan in place, and there you go, it's in front of you to see how you might wish to behave. And we'd ask you to behave. And by the way, this is a safe way of operating the office, so people can see it in virtual reality before they get there.
And as I say, how easy is it?
Your question.
Sorry, go on, Johnny.
The other bit to your question, the answer is yes. We can run various scenarios and various videos and models. So you can then say, okay, if I go with a one-way system, are people walking more than they should? What about the time where, how many people are subjected to less than the 2 meter rule? In a time frame, you can give me, is it 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes? What's the percentage of walk that's more than it should be? And it starts to allow you to think about data that comes out of it for you to be able to come up with the right strategy. And
I mean, how easy is it to run this? So if I'm a small business owner, I've got a store, a deli or something, I reach out to Arup. Is it something that, do you need to send a team of people in to map the space and to run this, or is it Is it something that you can kind of give people instructions and guide them through? How's it sort of working practically, Johnny?
In practice, it works that we find out that most organizations have mapping already there.
Okay.
In quite a few formats that we're able to convert and put as a base on the computer.
Right.
And some organizations will have things like desks, and some organizations won't have desks.
Yeah.
And we've got another tool that our architects use where you can plan desk space. So we could link both.
Yeah.
But assuming you give me a map of your Chamber of Commerce,
yeah,
and you give me all your seating plan,
yeah,
that's all I need to get going.
It's just a simple floor plan. And how quickly can you get in businesses? And we're talking just before the sort of the 4th of July weekend, when lots of hospitality and is reopening. I mean, how quickly could people run this so that they can get that sense of confidence?
If it's a pretty small business, small premises, it can be done within a day or two.
Right.
It can be as fast as that, providing the information is there and given to us. Some interaction is needed with the business owners to understand their rate of arrival of people, what they're planning, how many people do they want, all those sort of issues that operationally we would have to talk to you as an organization to understand how you function. Providing all that is available, and if we're talking of a really small area, like I said, a couple of days, we can do it. Larger organizations like Campus took us probably 4 or 5 days, and that's a site that accommodates 1,000 people currently. And then part of the advice is, how many people can I accommodate?
Absolutely. And I suppose, and it really is, it's at levels of confidence, isn't it, right now? And it's going to flex. And we don't know when people open how much the consumers want to get out there and spend, and how safe that they feel. There's a sense that there's pent up demand. But a big part is people are still very, very nervous and worried. And it sounds like Mass Motion is a fantastic tool for managing some of those concerns, isn't it?
I think that is a very important and valid comment, because as I alluded to earlier, if I can show you how you might wish to behave or be asked to behave in the office, and I can give you confidence that as leaders, senior leaders in the organization, we've put our name to that and we're prepared to implement it. You can see the various permutations. For example, you can see the best options, and indeed also in some instances the key areas of let's say concern. For example, a staircase, you might say, well yeah, okay, it's 1 meter wide, I can't do anything about it, but hang on a minute, I might be able to do a giveaway system, and one gives way to the other. Very simple. But because people, without doubt, there is a bit of a psychological barrier for all of us to overcome going back to work and feeling safe. And indeed, you see it in everyday life. Some people adhere to more than 2 meters, and you can see the look on their faces, unfortunately, where they're concerned. And I think we shouldn't ignore that element, and we need to rebuild confidence. And Mass Motion is a tool that will help.
No, massively important. And so if people wanted to find out more, then it's a case of reaching out to yourself and the team at Arup?
Correct. They can reach out to us at Arup. We are based in Birmingham and in Solihull and in Nottingham. Those are our office spaces. And I'm more than happy to be the point of contact and take the conversation from there. But like I said, it's important to specify that it's not just a 2 meter rule. It can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah. So it's, as you say, that's the conversation, isn't it? And but what we'll do, we'll make sure that contact details are attached and appended to this recording, so that people who are watching will know where to go. And I think that also, we were talking earlier, weren't we, about sort of some additional information and a presentation, which if the audience want to find out a little bit more, first of all, and to sort of visualize the tool, because I've seen some demos, and when you see it playing out, it really comes to life. Then we'll make sure that that's all available as well.
Correct, and we're more than happy to send you over a link that then members can access and see. And on the same screen, you'll get 2 scenarios, for example, one where it's not working and it is what it is, and on the other one, if you introduce measures, it shows you what it might be like.
Yeah.
So you can do some real life comparisons, and in my mind, it saves time and money. Sending people out and putting stickers down and all that is great, and people have done a great job up and down the country, and that's fantastic. But what you don't want is to have missed something. or there might be a better way of doing it. So that's where the added value comes in time savings.
Yeah, and it's just that extra degree of sophistication, isn't it? As you say, it's not just around putting stickers on the floor. It's making sure that you can evidence that you've done that deep dive. And mass motion seems, in some ways, it's beautifully simple, and it's again a sign of that ingenuity just to adapt it, the product which you're already using, but to make it sort of COVID appropriate and provide a real valuable tool for businesses. So, Johnny, thank you so much. Any final sort of thoughts or comments just before we wrap up?
No, I'd just like to wish people a better times ahead for all our businesses, and it's important that we all stay safe. And I think as Arup, we're through promoting this tool, we're trying to play our part. So, on that note, I'd like to thank everybody for listening to us, and hopefully in due course, we're there to help in any way we can. So that's
a great way to close. So Johnny and certainly Arup, thank you very much.